Merchandising. Go to teespring.com and make sure you get you a good t-shirt. It's where the real money's made on YouTube, not on the AdSense or all the Patreons. We need you to go and buy a shirt. That way we're no longer poor.
And that leads to the video stores,
right?
And that's like what I really wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
And it all pretty much stemmed from not just watching Godzilla vs. Kong, but also watching the documentary on the last Blockbuster.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Did you watch the doc?
I did watch the documentary. I felt like they got a lot of the information as regard what was going on behind the scenes with Blockbuster. Financially and what moves that they were making that we didn't really know, that weren't really public
or lack thereof.
Yeah, and I mean we knew about the Netflix thing, but some things that were going on with their like loans they were taking that I wasn't aware of, that kind of put them in this position. If they had not kind of borrowed against themselves, or if Viacom had not borrowed against Blockbuster, then maybe they wouldn't be in this position. We would still be, because there was a time where it turned around for them when they got the guy from 7-Eleven to take over, when he introduced Blockbuster Online. It was like they were making a comeback and then boom, fell apart again when they decided to get rid of rental fees.
Yeah.
I mean, late fees.
Late fees. And they they could have lowered them.
They could have lowered them.
They didn't have to completely do away with them, because the majority of their...
Because then nobody would bring anything back.
Yeah, but the majority of their films were, a majority of their revenue was that.
Yeah.
It was late fees.
Yeah, because it wasn't the $3 you gave us to run a film wasn't how they made their money. They made the money on the late fees because you never could bring it back, right?
Yeah,
in the Be Kind and Rewind fee.
I remember we had a. For those of you who don't know, that we actually worked for Blockbuster for a long time. I was there 10 years total.
God bless.
And how long were you there?
5 or 6, something like that.
Yeah, and that's actually where we met. So, it was. I remember going to these meetings where I actually met John Antioco, and and there was a lot of promise there. I really thought it was going to do something, and then it just completely. 1997, I was in Dallas for this fourth quarter meeting. I met D.B. Sweeney.
Really?
I met Robin Show.
I remember that because you got his autograph and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I met Robin Show. Cool dude, Robin Show. He told me about Chris Farley. That Chris Farley was awesome. Yeah, because I asked him about Chris Farley on Beverly Hills Ninja, and he said that he was freaking an awesome guy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, D.B. Sweeney was cool. We didn't ask him, hey, Terry and Spawn's black. Why are you playing Terry?
Because, has you seen Coming to America? That was supposed to be an all-black movie. So was Spawn. They needed somebody white.
Yeah, they got Martin Sheen. That's all they needed.
I did have Martin Sheen in it.
He was Jason Wynn.
That's right.
Anyway, but
why is he in here?
I remember that, vividly. Like it was like it was yesterday. It was like so much fun. But working at Blockbuster, it was just as good. So let's get it started from the beginning.
All right.
Now let's talk about when you were a guest. What do you remember? Yeah, what do you remember about going to a video store? What do you remember about going to either, whether it's Blockbuster, video store, whatever?
Right. So here, full disclosure, I never once rented at Blockbuster as an actual customer.
Really?
Never once. I've always went to the neighborhood video stores. My mom. Here's the thing. So even when Blockbuster came to Detroit, when I was a kid, when Blockbuster came to Detroit, my mom would go and she'd leave me at home. She'd leave me at home. I never once stepped foot in Blockbuster as an actual customer. My first time in Blockbuster, like literally, was as an employee. As I went to my interview to get hired at Blockbuster.
You were 18.
Yes, I know. I had never once been in a Blockbuster. I'd always been in like regular like mom and pop rental stores. I'd never once been in a Blockbuster. My mom had a Blockbuster card when I was little, and she would go and she'd just rent something, and I'd say like something I wanted to see. She'd look for it, she'd bring it back, and we'd watch it that way. I'd never once been in it until I turned 18. Crazy.
That's so cute. Okay, I remember going to places like Video Central, Pop and Go.
Yeah, all these little places,
yeah,
right?
Even HEB. I remember going to HEB in '87, and we would actually rent the VCRs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you had to leave the deposit, $100 deposit, and then you pay whatever, $10 or whatever.
You think about it now,
$100.
Like, you could probably get a VCR for $25 nowadays.
$5. We're talking about Goodwill. You get it for $5. But yes, VCRs, you had to rent VCRs, and they came in these big blue cases. You remember the big blue cases? So you had the device inside the blue cases, and all the wires and stuff would be in the back, and they had a little door, and you'd open the door in the back, and all the wires would come out.
All of the hardware that Blockbuster used to carry, that people when new stuff came out, that Blockbuster used to be like first through the door about like, hey, we want to get it, make it available for people who can't afford it. That was a great thing about Blockbuster. But yeah, like VHSs, I mean, like the VCRs.
Yeah, so that was at HEB, right? So they would, and then they had a really small video selection, and I remember watching stuff like Ernest Goes to Camp and Elm Street 3 and all these freaking, because these were new releases back then. So yeah, we would rent those and get that, and we would always have late fees on the freaking VCR because we didn't want to turn it in.
Buy VCR. Because back then, VCRs were probably like $200-300, right?
Yeah, about. Yeah. And then there was the pop and goes, and why is that room in the corner so funny lit? It's got beads on it.
But the beads room, the beads room.
The beads room. What is that?
What's in the beads room?
What's in the beads room? Debbie does what? Yeah.
Debbie did a lot of things.
Debbie did a lot of things. And then Blockbuster. And Blockbuster, I think, like the best thing about was always looking at the covers.
Yeah.
I think that was probably my favorite thing about going to Blockbuster was doing the covers.
Yeah, because what it was is that back in that day, because this is where we're really gonna date ourselves. Back in that day, when you see covers now you don't really see covers now, but when you see stuff put on like streaming and stuff like that, it's a snapshot of what's going on in the movie. Well, back then, they had to be like really, especially if it was a bad movie, they had to be like really like, they do like illustrative covers. It was like they draw what the gist of the movie was about. If it was a dragon in it, or if it was a monster in it, whatever the monster was supposed to look like, even though it didn't look like that in actual makeup and costume, they draw that.
Whatever. Sometimes it would look better in the freaking cover.
Yeah, it would look on the cover. You'd be really interested, or they get like such a small snapshot of what the film was to make it look so interesting that like the cover sold you on being able to rent the movie. So that was the biggest aspect of it. We didn't have trailers, we had covers. The cover box to the movie were like, that looks like it's cool. It was always bad. The cooler it looked, the worse the movie was.
Not all the time. Sometimes, yes.
I felt like 90%. The cooler it was, the worse the movie was.
I felt
like that with video games too.
And then I was gonna go into that too. And when it came to the video games too, like they had all these selections, and you were able to check it out before. So I'm not gonna buy this. Let me rent it first.
Right.
And then if it's good, then maybe I'll buy it. But. Right. But overall, I mean, at least you had that chance, and they expanded it by going to games and stuff. But what section were you always at when it came to the movies?
When I was actually renting from Blockbuster.
Yeah, when you were actually renting from Blockbuster.
I was actually renting.
What was the main section you were in?
I went through phases. So when I first was renting from Blockbuster, I was in the horror section all the time, and so I felt like I kind of saw the majority of what was in there that I thought was interesting to see, even though you want to go like, if I'm gonna clear it out, I might as well see everything. But then I ventured over to martial arts, where I wanted to see the majority of what was in martial arts. Then I got into like cops and robbers, where like I liked the little cop dramas, especially when it got to like the gun fu with the
like Hardboiled,
with the John Woo films and stuff like that. So I really got into those. So I kind of bounced from genre to genre. But I originally started in horror, which is why we're such big horror fans.
Yeah, and it was definitely horror, Full Moon Entertainment, subspecies, Puppet Masters, demonic toys
stuff.
When New Line first started, everybody was like, when I see the New Line logo, what do you think of? Like, oh, Friday, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, no, that's freaking Elm Street. Yeah. That's the house that Freddy built.
Yeah.
Sorry, but Elm Street does not, or freaking New Line does not exist without Freddy Krueger. I'll just say that right now.
Let's not discount what they did for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's true too. But yeah, man, and I remember watching all of these crazy comedies, like, and I don't know if you've seen any of them, but like Weekend Warriors and Recruits and all these dumb.
Oh yeah, all of the
Hot Dog.
all of the 80s.
Yeah.
What were they
The
called?
Raunch.
The Raunch comedies.
Yeah,
all
Jocks.
the 80s Raunch. I do believe, like, and this is when I was really like a kid.
Hunk.
It's like I swear to God, I saw like, and I was probably way too young to be watching these films.
Yes, you were
like,
probably.
I saw all of these films when I was.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Private School, freaking Fraternity Vacation, Revenge of the Nerds,
Nurses and Candy Stripe Girls and all. That was my porn.
My
that was
tutor.
my porn when I was a teenager.
I was all about my tutor. I'll just say that right now. But anyway, but yeah, I remember that. I remember watching all of that, and then the horror films were just comedy and horror were probably the main two. I got into martial arts, but mainly because of the Bruce Lee films.
Yeah.
But I never got into the ones that you like because you like old school Jet Li and Fist of Legend and all that other stuff. I never got into those, but because I was like infatuated with the horror.
Right.
So that's what that was. All right. So the advantages and disadvantages of the video stores.
I can only see advantages of it. So for me, the advantages of it was being able to, back in the time where video stores were in their heyday, it was like, to be able to see a film before it was released on video was damn near impossible, right? You had to wait in like 6 to 12 months before they decided they wanted to sell it after it was out in the theaters. And then you'd spend like $30-$40 to buy that film, right?
100. It was 99.
Well, yeah. So yeah. I mean, in between the fact before they decided, like, it had its full run back when you had a year run in the theaters.
Yeah, that's right.
So before it had its full run, if you wanted to buy a copy of that film, it was $100. So you couldn't do that. You had to wait and almost forget about the damn film before they decided to actually put it out for sale, where you can buy it. And then, like I said, it was like $30 when you bought it. So they made it available for you when you're like, hey, it's been out in theaters, or it's not in theaters, or it's only in select few theaters left right now. I can still see this film whenever I want to and not have to go and sit in an auditorium or drive, and I can do this at home. Advantage. Also, too, the back library. So when I was a kid, and when you were a kid, so when there was an older film that was out, or an older film that you wanted to see, you had to wait until maybe it was shown on network television, or wait to see if maybe like HBO or cable wanted to work back around it, because they wanted to stay with something that was fairly new. So the back catalog, which is why I feel like this is one of the major things that we're missing from video stores, is that the back catalog, we can't go back and just peruse, because everybody has license deals. They're just like, with this studio, you got a license deal with this studio, you got a license deal with this studio.
Yeah, and you gotta
find everything that you were looking for.
And you gotta get a streaming for this and a streaming for that, because they own this, they own that library, they own this and that. So yeah,
So those are the things. So it was like being able to see something and not having to wait a full year before it actually gets released for sale. Also, too, being able to pay a small fee to see it. The rental fee for a movie at Blockbuster was less than you pay for tickets, especially for a family of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that. I mean, if I'm paying $3-4 for all of us to see it at home, I'm saving money by watching it at home. Yeah. So the the price, the early access, and the back catalog were, I would feel like, the advantages of Blockbuster.
And I agree with that. I also think that it was a good place to mingle.
I mean, you could, because you could talk with somebody about like movies, and it was like that's what the people there that work there for. It was like, talk to them about movies. You find somebody who maybe was into the same things that you were into, the same genres, categories. They could suggest something to you that you hadn't heard of. Or maybe that you were thinking about trying but didn't want to waste the money or waste 2 hours of your life. So you can find that type of camaraderie.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the biggest thing we're missing from Blockbuster, but it is a thing that some people do miss from Blockbuster.
And then looking at all of it, because there was like so many, I would probably say there are thousands of titles that have cult-like status, and all of it stems from the video. From video stores.
Yeah, that they picked up those extra views, like
it didn't do crap in theaters, but it did phenomenal in the video.
Judge Dredd is one of the ones.
Yeah, freaking just a lot of the horror series that were out there. You know, Friday the 13th was freaking huge. It made decent money, but in the video store they were freaking ridiculously always rented out. And
the video store bought so many copies every seasonal on certain films. That the studios kept making money that way.
Yeah. So yeah, but there were so many disadvantages. Not enough copies sometimes.
Not enough. I mean,
sometimes not enough copies. I mean, sometimes people wouldn't bring shit.
They
would bring shit back.
Yeah, early in Blockbuster's heyday, it was like it wasn't enough copies, especially because of how big and fast that they were growing. It wasn't enough copies. But later on in Blockbuster's run, it was like they had more than enough copies to deal with that aspect, even though people still complained.
All right, Memories as a Worker.
Memories of the Worker?
Memories as a worker.
Oh, as a worker.
What do you remember about being a worker?
I remember having conversations with people about movies that they couldn't remember, that they wanted me to remember with the most vaguest piece of information. And it's like, hey, do you remember that movie that starred that guy that did that thing? And it was he was also in that other movie? No. Why would I know that?
Well, I would say yes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you would say that. I would not. I would sit there and like, yeah, and yeah, right? No, I have no clue.
I remember.
Give me some more details.
I remember. Like, I am never gonna watch this movie, but I gotta memorize this fucking cover box. So I would memorize the cover boxes. So when they would bring up an actor, I remember the actor on the cover. So that's how I would.
And I've had those situations where they're like,
that's how I would help them.
I was like, oh yeah, I saw that guy. He was on. He was on the cover of the box, and they were like, oh, have you seen it? No. But I know where that movie's at, so I can go show you that movie. Or them trying to ask you like, name me all the. I missed the video log. Name me all the movies that this guy has been in because I want to see more movies by this one particular star.
Man, in the video log.
Now it's called Google. Or IMDb, however you want to say it.
Do you remember the functions on the computer?
For the most part, like Get and List and stuff like. I barely but if you put me in front of it, I can figure it out.
Okay, A was film status.
Okay.
B was point of sale.
Okay. 3
was customer maintenance.
Oh, the from the main menu.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think 3 was customer maintenance, and then like the FOS report was like way down. The FOS report means found on shelf. So if anybody missed the Dropbox and they didn't check,
I'm gonna tag this with all Blockbuster customers. So
if they didn't scan it.
Workers, so that way they can be like reminisce with us.
They would put the movie out. So the FOS report, if it's too late, there's a possibility that it's on the shelf that never got scanned, and we would find quite a bit sometimes.
This is why people complain about late fees.
Yeah, so we had to take all those late fees off. Yeah. Okay. So I remember. Of course, memorizing cover boxes. My favorite thing about Blockbuster was actually building the new release wall. That was my favorite.
Yeah, because me and you used to make it a game. We used to make it a game. I was like, can we make a story out of the new release wall?
Yeah. So one time, the Crow met Forrest Gump, and they did Speed on their way to Under Siege.
Yeah,
like all this different.
We were down.
We were very down. But the new release wall was my favorite, and we always had to block it a certain way, which means we had to have like so many copies fill the top of the same titles.
Which is one of the things I was like when I was watching the documentary. I was like, oh, your blocking's completely wrong.
Yeah, like who would put 4 and 4 on the top row?
Your blocking's completely wrong. And I know that there's no HR that's telling them and corporate that's telling them how they have to do it, and they can kind of do however they want because they're only store that's left. But I'm like, it's wrong. It's wrong. Some of their signage wrong, their end caps are wrong, and I was like,
my favorite.
I would go to your store and just fix it.
My favorite too was the tie-ins. When we would have the different, so what it was is that you would have a really big title, and then you would pick tie-ins that were close to that movie. So if you had Speed or Under Siege, then you'd put Speed, Passenger 57, Die Hard, and all these movies like in the middle. And yeah, so that was one of my favorite parts. What I hated about it was the freaking inventory. I cannot stand.
The inventory.
I could not stand doing inventory at Blockbuster.
So here's the one thing about Blockbuster is that Blockbuster tried to diversify itself so much. When you went to a movie theaters have a concession. They have candy, they have popcorn, they have soda, and yada yada. Well, Blockbuster decided it wanted to make itself more of a one-stop shop for everything. They had candy, they had popcorn, obviously they had soda. That's what you expect in a movie theater. They went into toys. They were selling previously rented movies, right? They were doing like all types of random things, and all of those things had to be inventoried. So it made inventory a complete nightmare, especially because you have to think about like there's going to be like shoplifting, and when you have like things that are smaller than this guy right here, right, that you have to keep track of, and it became a nightmare as far as inventory. But I do recognize what they were trying to do. They were kind of seizing the moment. So retail places do this now. There's like they put like all of the things kind of like impulse buys at the front counter. So like they put stuff that they don't normally really sell, but they put it at the front counter just to get your attention and you might buy it. So that way, and Blockbuster I feel like was the
one that started it.
Yeah, kind of started. Yeah,
because we would put all of the the hot movies in the front.
Yeah. Or not even the movies, just the little toys, the little snacks and stuff like that.
Right in front of everybody.
It was impulse buys that they were trying to get you to do. So that's a way that they made a lot of money off that stuff because they paid pennies on the dollar for that crap. But it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare.
Yes, it was. I could not stand it.
You know what? One of the worst parts I hated about it, about Blockbuster, was the cleaning at night. I hated the straightening in the cover boxes because you guys suck. You guys would never put anything back. Not you, but you, the customer. You guys suck. You guys would turn movies around, put it back in the other stuff. Wouldn't be able to get the movie at that particular point in time, hide the movie someplace else, hide it within the shelves, hide it in the wrong section, and then never come back and get it. Guess what? I gotta find that stuff and I gotta clean it up. I gotta vacuum after you, have to clean that horrible bathroom after you, the windows, because they wanted to make sure you could see inside Blockbuster.
The windows were lighted. Horrible.
It's supposed to be lighted and inviting, and you guys could not actually grab a handle.
And the vestibule, because you would have to wipe the railing because it would be dusty all over the place.
Those are the things I hate about it.
Oh, man. Made a lot of freaking good friends out there. Friends great. To this day, obviously.
Lifelong friends.
Lifelong friends that I met at Blockbuster. So, you know what? It's fantastic. It was freaking awesome place to work. And I would not change anything on that. Except maybe count the live gift cards right so they don't think I took it.
That's such an inside thing
screw you. Anyway, all right. So, going into... knowing what we know about the video stores and everything, and now we were talking about second chances, films that got second chances through video. You look at this, you look at how everything is mainstream wise and everything, and not everything's gonna hit. Back and then, they used that video market to succeed, to show their product more.
Right.
What genre, honestly, do you think benefited the most from the video store era? Was it comedy, horror, or adult?
Adult.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Seriously.
Oh, just like video stores.
Just videos in general.
Video was family
no,
friendly.
not video stores, but just videos, VHS.
There's a different way to look at this. All right, so in a whole, if I had to look like the number one that actually benefited from it, I would say the B-movie horror.
I would say that too.
B-movie horror probably because it was one of the things, once again, I said the cover box sold a lot of things, but also too, when you get to, it's seasonal. When you get to your Halloween and stuff like that, like people just want to watch anything scary.
Absolutely.
It really didn't even matter anymore. Like I suggested stuff that was just like random. It's like, well, it looks cool, and I would suggest it, and people would go and rent it. So I think a lot of those B movies, because they wouldn't have been released in theaters, and then if they'd come out for sale, a lot of people wouldn't have bought them because they didn't know anything about it, but the rental provided them an opportunity to be able to check it out and kind of see if it was something, a hidden gem. Comedies, later on, when we really started getting into where your stand-up comedy became more mainstream, because before we had like elite comics, like your Red Foxes, your Richard Pryors, your Eddie Murphys. They had stand-ups that were on video, right? But your smaller comics did not. They may have got a stand-up special that may have premiered on a cable channel once or something like that, and they were happy about that. But when we got later on into Blockbuster's run or video stores run, where you got your I felt like Cat Williams kind of started that. Where
Rodney Dangerfield.
No. Where like it became like big, where like everybody was getting a stand-up special after Cat Williams. Like Cat Williams became a big name.
You really think so?
He got his first stand-up special, and just think of how many stand-up specials came out on video after that. Think of how many that came out.
What about Martin Lawrence? You So Crazy? I think that could have.
But that was back around the time of
that was
Eddie.
In '94.
Yeah, but that was like at the end of the Eddie Murphy run. How many specials did he have after that? He went to Def Comedy Jam.
No, well, he did Def Comedy
Jam
first,
and
then he did.
And then how many more stand-up specials do you see after that, right?
Okay,
but after Cat Williams came out, you saw the Chris Rock stuff. But we're getting off point, right? So I was like, I think in certain eras there's certain things, and then the adults never gonna go away, but it was a little subculture. Okay, trying to figure out the best way to say it. It was a subculture of the mom and pop. That's literally how they made their money. They didn't make their money off the big new releases. They made it off the adult section. So that was a way for somebody, and back then there was no YouTube, not YouTube, but there was no like porn websites. There was no Pornhub to where like you could just free on demand porn. You either had to buy the video, you had to like read a magazine.
How about having to rent it and then bring it back?
Yeah, no. Those brave souls that did that. Or those brave souls that brought it back to Blockbuster who did not rent adult videos. Don't say it. I know what you're getting to say.
No, how about when they would put their personal movies
Release inside? Yeah.
Inside, and then I remember.
We would watch it, by the way.
Yeah, hell yeah, because we wanted to see what the hell's this. So we would put it in, and it was some lady.
Watch it.
Some lady was giving birth, and we had to see all the whole goodness there. Do you remember that one?
That's not the one you want to talk about.
Yeah, that's another one that we saw that was, yeah. Somebody put it in a kids movie, and we put that on, and yeah, that's how kids were made.
That's how kids are made. But yeah, so I think those particular genres all had like their times. Like I said, horror. I think horror was probably the biggest impact of it.
That's what I was gonna say. I think from a rental standpoint, when you have films like Maniac Cop, or like I said, the Puppet Masters.
Who was gonna go see Maniac Cop?
Who was gonna see Maniac Cop? Who was gonna see Ginger Snaps? Or who was gonna see?
Yeah, no one's gonna see. I found Ginger Snaps in just going through the horror section. I was like, oh, that looks cool, and I watched it. I love that movie. That's one of my favorite werewolf movies.
Right. So you don't. That's what I'm saying. So you don't see Dog Soldiers, stuff like that. You don't see any of these things. Out there in the movie theater. They don't get a chance.
Right.
And and I think that particular genre is what benefited the most. So comedy's going to be comedies, but that particular genre, because of the fear, because of the not really understanding the art of horror, because there's more to horror than just the kills. There's more to that. And I think that's where the directors, the artists, the makeup artists, and all these people really got a lot of their names out there by doing by having those films have that second life, or really the main life, on video through rental. Now the adult film community, I think, boosted because we have to explain it
and why adults popular.
I'm not talking about rentals, because a lot of the times they weren't renting; they were selling these things, and that's how they were making their money. So when it came to the old heyday of the X-rated films that they would show, and the distribution was going to change in that. And I think from a distribution standpoint, the adult film industry probably boosted even more because of VHS.
Right.
So that's what I mean. I'm not being immature or anything stupid like that. I'm being like straight up honest. When you watch stuff like when you watch the end of Boogie Nights and they start talking about video.
Right.
Jack Horner's right about how distribution was going to explode,
because the porn theaters were closing down. The porn theaters were closing down, so like video was where it was going into, and it's always been said that porn is actually at the forefront of all technology. So any type of new technology that comes out, it first debuts in porn.
Wow. So 4K is forget it. Never mind.
Seriously, first high def, first HD video was a porn. The first 4K video was a porn. The first 3D movie was a porn.
And how would you know this?
All right. I do my homework.
That's right. All right, so that's
hashtag research.
Hashtag research. So tell us what you think down below, and let us know your memories of the video stores, whether it's at Blockbuster or mom and pop. Who actually gave you the best experience, the mom and pops or the Blockbuster? Or did we like literally mess up your whole night?
We probably did. I was a shit back then. I'm sorry.
I had a blast. I had a blast there.
All right, guys. So this is a Strange Goods podcast, but we wanted to take an opportunity to kind of reminisce about our uproots and forthcomings. I don't know how to even say it. But look, we came from Blockbuster. If you guys want to talk more about Blockbuster, please talk with us in the comments below. We'd love to continue this conversation there. Also, too, if this is the first time that you're on the channel, make sure you subscribe, as well as click the notification button, so that way you'll know about all the other things that we talk about that is not porn or Blockbuster.
But if you want to talk about porn, save it for the WTFs, all right? All right, hey, we want to say rest in peace to the great DMX. We lost him.
I forgot we didn't even talk about that.
We lost him, and you know what? Pioneer did a lot of stuff with Rough Rider, and his music was legendary. He's freaking legendary, and one of the most interesting and best opening scenes of a movie when it comes to Belly. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
There you go.
Rest in peace, my brother. For Aspen and not where the hell they're at. And Carla's sitting on the couch. I'm Manny.
Upstairs. That's hilarious.
I wooed you, and that's not even. Forget it.
All right, guys, I've been saying this. I hope you guys are tired, and I hope you already contributed money. But we do have a Patreon, so below you'll see the link. If you guys go to patreon.com/thegoods, please go ahead and, I mean, if you guys do like the show, please donate something. We do have giveaways for donations that we do receive. Make sure you donate something, and we get something sent out to you and make the show better.
Question for you: where does the money go? What does the money do?
My pocket.